G-man stand, it's impossible to touch dance. I got a deranged temper with a short fuse. I don't know what you thought, but you gon' lose. I'm bad news. Satan turn me loose. Since Tupac got popped, who the fuck you think got the juice? Bill dance.
Hi guys, Herbalist40 here, thank you for joining me today. Right, so as you can hear, I'm a little bit ill. I've been battling all day to get this video out for you before I have to go and work away this weekend again, so I'll be away for a few days. Right, so a friend of mine, Oscar, who is a hunter, and I will leave a link to his page in the description below. Basically, he's a guy who does a little bit of modding and all sorts of different things on regarding to GTA 5, so I'll send you a link to his page. But I asked him basically to send me the files containing the dialogue subtitles. Basically, I wanted the written script of what we could find in the game files, and so thank you very much to him for sending that to me. I asked him for a completely different reason to this, but for now, just this one little thing. I'm looking into the taxis in the game. Essentially, Franklin and the taxi company you can purchase. Now, as you can see on the screen here, on the left hand side are a series of bonuses that you can get throughout 9 special VIP taxi missions that Franklin gets once he's purchased the taxi company. Now, to the right, it has 3 objectives in that one box at the top right hand corner. And as you can see, the bonuses contain BN and the objectives contain OBJ in the title. Now, amongst many other things, one thing really stood out to me, and that's the one in red, and that is Taxi, SCNCC Clown Car. Now, CC is obviously the clown car. I'm not sure what SC and N stand for. I did a little bit of research. I looked through all 9 missions on a video on YouTube and really couldn't find anything. I obviously typed in clown car GTA 5 and the only thing that came up was a link to the Wikia reminding me of the old clown van that we see with Trevor once he smokes the pot. Now, not much to say on this. It's more a question, like wondering if any of you guys can direct me in the right way. Like, I don't know really where to go with this, but it really has been bugging me. While I'm on the subject though, we've been talking about all these issues with Trevor, and the clown van here speaks of Fiddler the Clown. Now that's obviously like a kiddie fiddler clown, which leads me to believe that that's probably why Trevor doesn't fucking like him. It's most likely that he was fiddled with as a kid by a clown, as sad as that may seem. But more on point, as I was telling you guys, I was focusing on the taxis. Now, here we are outside the taxi company, downtown CabCo, that you can purchase with Franklin. Now, as you can see, it says in transit since 1922. So, being the in-depth kind of guy that I am, I thought, okay, 1922, what can I do with this? So I had a quick look on Google. I put in taxi 1922. Now, as you can see here, I'm in the Roosevelt car that we got with the Valentine's update. Now, in just a second here, you're going to see, I don't know what I was doing there. Yeah, as I said, in just a second here, right, we have the search that I put in came up with these vehicles pretty much, who are identical, and if not identical, at least very similar to the Roosevelt vehicle we were given in the Valentine's update. Now, I'm not sure if it was in story mode before Valentine's update or if the Valentine's update brought it just to online. As far as I know, it came to story mode with the Valentine's update as well, which kind of broke my hope of looking into, like, my first thought, obviously, which is probably your first thought, is like, why not try doing the missions with this car, seeing if it has any effect. But because of it coming out with the update, it always sets me back. Like, I'm a firm believer on the fact that the mystery and the tools we need to solve it are already there from the start. Anything coming in updates is just further clues, further influence to push more of us into the hunt. But anyway, as I said, the car in itself is the Roosevelt, and regardless, it did come out on online, at least in the Valentine's update. Now, it relates to Al Capone and mob bosses and a bloody massacre, and that's why it was called the Valentine Bloody Massacre update. Um, and there was also a link to Al Capone and a similar vehicle to the Roosevelt that we were given. And if I'm not mistaken, I couldn't really locate it when I looked, but I think there was a small tie between Franklin Roosevelt and Al Capone's car. Maybe Roosevelt used the car at one point. I'm not really too sure. So, as I said, it kind of cut me in my track of using this vehicle in regards to the missions given to us in the taxi company. But what I didn't stop at is just that. I kind of pushed forward on the Roosevelt side of things. Why call the car the Roosevelt? Why yet another clue indicating to this president? Now, I'm going to start off by saying that there was another little thing that came up. I wasn't too sure if I was going to talk about this, but basically, Franklin D. Roosevelt, the American president, quite some years before him, one of his cousins, Theodore Roosevelt, also on Valentine's Day, lost both his mother and his wife. And in his journal on that day, he only wrote one thing, and he said, "The light of my life has gone out." And above that, he just drew a cross, an X, which, kind of caught my attention because crosses and X's have, with the mural, etc., like there's always a certain pattern that I try and keep an eye out for, but I moved away from that and I came back to just Franklin Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and who he was, what influences other than this vehicle do we have of him in the game, and what can it possibly teach us. Now I'm going to start rambling and I'm just going to put on the fact that in just a second here that Mr. Franklin D. Roosevelt was in fact highly involved in the Oak Island mystery. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Oak Island mystery is in fact a real life mystery that I've brought up many times before in comparison in my videos. There he is there, a quick picture of him with the pipe. Now, this is Oak Island in the top right hand corner, and the Oak Island mystery is also referred to as the Money Pit, and they are highly connected to, the Money Pit and the Oak Island mystery is highly connected to the Templars, the Knights Templar. It's connected to things like the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, and there's also speculation that it could be pirate treasure, but more the investigation goes in, the more theorists and scientists, etc., have lent towards the fact that the Templar probably hid a treasure there, maybe the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, as I was saying. Now, as you can see on the left hand side, that's basically the Money Pit, and it's a diagram of how far people have been down, what they've managed to look at with sonar, etc., how deep it actually is. And on the bottom right hand corner, there's a stone tablet that was found at some level in the Money Pit, and it had this weird code encryption of it, making it obviously one of the greatest real life mysteries in the world today. Now, why am I bringing this whole lot up? It's important for now, but it's also going to be important for my next video, because I'm going to be talking again about the Templar hotels that we have in the game, and how the whole Knights Templar does tie in nicely to what we're looking into. But for now, just focusing on the fact that Franklin D. Roosevelt was highly involved in one of the greatest mysteries ever, that still hasn't been solved to this day. He put a lot of time, money, and effort into this, and I think if any video game creator is gonna look into the aspect of a mystery and conspiracy theories, etc., this is a little gem. Like, this is something that not many people are gonna miss. Now, as I said, we're going to be talking about the Templar hotels in my future videos, but for this time round I wanted to stay focused on Mr. Roosevelt. Now, this hotel in game, which is what's it called, the von Krastenberg Hotel, is basically based on a real life hotel, which is the Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood, and this one is obviously in Vinewood in GTA 5, and as you can see, there's a restaurant there called Clappers. Now, the Wikia states something about clappers being related to female masturbation. In the UK, claps, I believe, is also relating to a a sexual disease called chlamydia. So that's another little dirty joke that Rockstar's thrown in there. But next up, I'm going to show you the real life counterpart. As I said, this is the von Krastenberg in GTA 5, and it actually mirrors a real life hotel, the Roosevelt Hotel, and that relates to Franklin D. Roosevelt. As I've been saying from the beginning, I'm just trying to make sure I don't lose all you guys. I'm trying to do this in a bit of a hurry today. I do apologise. Okay, so here we have it. This is the Roosevelt Hotel. The restaurant, instead of clappers, is Cinegrill. Instead of red, it's cyan. You know how they love to invert and switch within duality in this game. And also, what I found interesting, coincidence, Kelly Osbourne is actually featured under Cinegrill right there as being the hostess for that evening. She's obviously Ozzy Osbourne's daughter, the lead singer of Black Sabbath that I was talking to you guys about just the other day. Now, here you can see is right next to the place, and it has this jazz building, and I'm looking at the colour and I'm seeing AZ, and I thought, let's have a look, see what's going on here. Now, to the right hand side, I noticed we have this Obey advert, and then to the left hand side we have another Obey advert, except it says disobey. So disobey on the left, obey on the right. Devils on the left shoulder, angels on the right shoulder, just kind of fits. It's duplicated on the back here, which, you know, same as that other one at the bottom. I don't really see the point. No one's going to see it from the rooftop. But the reason I came here as well is where it said jazz on the building, that it looked like it was telling me to go upwards. So basically, this is what I decided to do. And upon going upwards, I realised that the building is, interestingly enough, shaped like a cross, a crucifix, and to the right of it there's also a body of water, which is interesting to me as well. So you can see right here, like, it's pretty well designed. Oh god, I do apologise. It's pretty well designed, a nice cross crucifix right there. Another interesting thing, and this is from the roof of the von Krastenberg Hotel, you can see down below Vinewood India Building 6069. So 0, nothing, 666, basically invert the 9. Not only that, but India and tsunami right next to it. So a little Easter egg there that I'd never noticed before. Again, from the roof, another interesting thing that I wanted to point out here is that down below you can see Doppler. Now, that is an interesting ideal of time that we're going to come back to in a future video. It's a whole different topic, but Doppler in itself, if you guys are impatient, just go look that up. It's a very interesting concept. But what I'm really looking at here is the buried hatchet coming from the sign just above the Doppler Cinema sign. Now, as much as I'd love to talk about the hatchet in itself, Wispy Woods is going to do that, I believe, in the near future. I just wanted to point out that from this point, this crucifix, we can see the buried hatchet. Next up, I'm going to show you a short clip from Wispy's video in order to aid my point. I'll join you right after that.
Why? They put a figure of a horn.
Now, you know what I find interesting? I actually got a lot of hate on that video. I remember when I actually did it, a lot of people came at me like, you know, I'm just forming bullshit out of the map. But I'm going to show you once again why that unicorn was real, and why, once again, these things are being pointed out at a top-down perspective. Innocence Boulevard. Okay? Again, I'm not making this shit up. You can look it up yourself. Innocence Boulevard is on literally the back and the horn of the unicorn that I saw months ago, you guys. Coincidence? Seriously?
Right, so the reason I just showed you that clip is most importantly because of the street, Innocence Boulevard, that runs along the back of the unicorn. It's not necessarily about the unicorn itself, it's about the importance of the name of the street, what it reveals to us. Now, if you haven't seen his episode 2 of The Truth, it basically in one part explains that the unicorn is the incarnation of innocence. They know no evil. So it just works out perfectly. Now, bearing that in mind, I showed you the hatchet earlier. If you look at the top, very abstract, very roughly, I've just outlined it because I saw it. It seems to look a lot like a hatchet to me. So that you can take it or leave it. But what we're going to focus on here is the name of the streets that surround the Von Krastenberg Hotel, which is the Purple Cross. Now, in green at the top, we have Clinton Avenue. Then to the left, we have Power Street in blue. Then to the right in orange, we have Meteor Street. And obviously the main street running across the bottom is Vinewood Boulevard. Now, sorry, I do apologise. I'm struggling to make this recording today. Basically, what I really wanted to focus on was where the research has led me so far, because I've kind of gone from the taxi to Roosevelt to who he is, why he's interesting to us in the game. So I then moved on to Clinton, because we have here Clinton Avenue, Power Street and Meteor Street. Now, a little bit of fucking around, I just put in eventually ended up putting in Google Clinton Meteor. Now, I can't tell you how important all of this is as a whole, so I really do hope I haven't lost anyone. I hope everyone still gets the chain of events that I'm putting in front of you here. So this is what it came up with: Allen Hills 84001, which is basically a meteorite from Mars that was found out in Antarctica in 1984. Now, Clinton just happened to have made a speech on this quite some years later. I'm going to show you that speech in just a second. Now, what I want to focus on this particular image is the fact that it's Allen Hills. We've spoken of Hills before, that's not too important. Allen is related to the whole Alan O incident that we had in GTA 5 and a whole other things that Wispy has shown you along the way. It's an important name. 84 being the year, and 001 being the fact that it was the first rock found that year, and it was in fact a meteorite, because not all elements that they gathered were effectively meteorites until proven so. So here on the screen is Clinton's statement about Allen Hills 84001. Now, I'm just going to say, as far as my hunt has taken me, I think that 1984 has to be one of the most important dates relating to a lot of things that we're looking at. It just keeps coming back like a lot more than any other date, and I mean a hell of a lot more. But for those of you who would like to pause the video and read through Clinton's statement regarding this meteorite from Mars, feel free to do so. But me personally, it kind of came to a semi-dead end where I was like, this is not going to lead to something physical just yet. So I kind of took the thought a little bit further and tried to investigate how has Rockstar shown us Mars before, like in what way is it important to us, because it's not a planet that I've brought up before personally, and I have done a lot of work on planets, a lot of astrology related connections, but so far, this is the first time Mars has really jumped out to me. Now, the first one was this Pastor Richards dude with a purple tie. Now, he's a complete fraud, and he was from Mars, Alabama, which is in fact a real place, I believe. But it was more the joke of a preacher from Mars. Now, after that, I was like, okay, we have John Marston from Red Dead Redemption, Mars being the red planet. So the first line there, Mars the red planet, Red Dead Redemption, and John Marston. Also the landscape of Red Dead Redemption, obviously being based on Earth. If you think about it, the closest thing we can come to a Mars related landscape would be desert, and that is pretty much where Red Dead Redemption was based, a lot of desert and sand areas. But anyway, moving along, there's the Meteorite chocolate bar in game, which on the Wikia they say it's probably based off of Snickers. In my personal opinion, I think it's more likely that it's relating to the Mars bar. So, yet again, another connection to Mars, but nothing too strong. But let me just play you a couple of clips, one of my own and a few of Wispy's, and I'm going to join you in a second.
Pluto? I said Mars, you cocksucker! Shoulder of Orion 2.
Understanding the Alien series is part of what we did in the last episode when it comes down to Joss Whedon and Winona Ryder, and even the aspect of Scarlett Johansson and the Avengers and all of the above. But when it really comes down to aspects of Bishop and Ripley, we need to understand Aliens is an aspect of source material. And this one was directed by James Cameron, the original Aliens. Now, this one starred a few actors. We're going to look at True Lies and understand certain aspects of clues, like Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger here, and why he ties right back into things we need to pay attention to. But most notably within this movie is a reoccurrence of the director, Mr. James Cameron. He is becoming a stronger clue as we go on. Now, when we look at Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger, legend, okay, is something very, very interesting tied to a great Scott, Mr. Ridley Scott. Okay, this was directed by Mr. Ridley Scott. Now, if you're asking yourself why Ridley Scott is even relevant within what we're talking about here, this motherfucker did the movie Alien. Okay,
Okay, so I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but I have to say it. Great minds think alike, they say. Now, I speak to Wispy every day pretty much. Like, we play a lot together and that, and we discuss the mystery together, but I never really investigate what he's investigating and vice versa, because it would be a waste of time having us both looking into the same shit. So usually we both pick a path and then we'll talk about whatever either one is doing. And in this particular case, like, my path is just led right back to his, which kind of proves why he is who he is, why he is Wispy Woods in this mystery. Now, as you just saw, I showed you a short clip of Michael and Solomon talking about Shoulder of Orion 2. Now, in the trivia here, you can see that it was most likely based off the 1986 movie Aliens, which is from James Cameron, who Wispy mentioned in his video. And then you can also see that the title is a reference to the line "Attack the ships on fire of the shoulder of Orion," part of the famous Tears in Rain monologue in the 1982 film Blade Runner. Now, I have up on the screen here Blade Runner, played by Harrison Ford, who's well known for being Han Solo, and also Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, which is highly tied to the Knights Templar and the Ark of the Covenant and all those sorts of mysteries or stories that we all know so well. So that kind of goes full circle there in the sense of Harrison Ford alone. But I just wanted to point out that Wispy stated this without him having even read this before, I don't believe, that basically the Shoulder of Orion 2 is indeed based off of Aliens from James Cameron and also Blade Runner from Ridley Scott, who also created the sequel to Aliens, which was Alien, etc., etc. So it was also the fact that Solomon mentioned Mars. The connection kind of ties in again. He also speaks of Pluto. Now, without steering too far away from the point, if you remember, I told you in Back to the Future, Marty McFly was initially supposed to be a spaceman from Pluto, even stating during the film, "I am a spaceman from Pluto," but all that was scratched and the story was changed, but it's still an important part to note. So essentially, what am I talking about? I am mainly talking about meteorites. I am mainly talking about religious treasures. I am mainly talking about what Wispy is talking about, and that's this beautiful pattern of directors and actors being recycled and reused in one great big connection. Like, everything kind of ties into itself. But for today, it's kind of just an intro to what I'm going to be bringing you when I come back to the Knights Templar hotels. I hope you all enjoyed the content. I hope you see where I'm going with it. If you're new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe. But as usual, guys, take it easy, and I'll see you next time.